There's a sentence almost everyone has heard at least once: do what you love. It shows up in graduation speeches, career advice, Instagram captions, and TED Talks. It's treated like timeless wisdom, something humans should have always known. But it's not. This idea is historically new. And more importantly, it's structurally unrealistic for most people. Today, I want to talk about where do what you love actually came from, why it sounds empowering, and how it quietly reshapes how we think about work, identity, and failure. And it's not from a personal angle, but more of a historical one. Because when you look at labor across different periods of time, this advice stops sounding universal and starts sounding very specific. For most of human history, work was not about fulfillment, it was about survival. In pre industrial societies, labor followed necessity. It followed seasons, geography, family role, and physical ability. Most people didn't choose their work, they inherited it. A farmer's child farmed, a blacksmith's child apprenticed, a weaver's family wove. Work was collective and repetitive. Meaning did not come from labor. Meaning came from religion, kinship, tradition, and survival itself. If you ask someone in the 1500s whether they loved their job, the question wouldn't even make sense. Work wasn't meant to express the self. There was no separate self outside of social role. Historian E.P. Thompson described pre-industrial labor as task-oriented, not clock-oriented or self-oriented. He argued that people work until a task was complete, not until they felt fulfilled. That matters because it shows something important. The expectation that work should emotionally satisfy you is not natural, it's cultural. The Industrial Revolution didn't introduce passion into work, it removed meaning from it. Factories separated home from labor, skills from outcome, worker from product. Jobs became mechanical and replaceable. This is when people began to resent work, not because it lacked passion, but because it lacked dignity. Long hours, unsafe conditions, child labor. And so no one told factory workers to do what you love. The expectation was endurance. Work was something you survived so you could live afterward. That framing, work as sacrifice, it lasted well into the 20th century. After World War II, especially in the United States, something unusual happened. Strong unions, manufacturing dominance, government investment, affordable housing. For a brief period, work offered stability without fulfillment. People didn't love their jobs. They didn't need to. Work paid enough to fund life outside of it. Family, leisure, hobbies, and community. The writer Studs Terkel, who interviewed hundreds of American workers in the 1960s and 70s, put it this way. For most people, work is about daily meaning as well as daily bread, for recognition as well as cash. But that recognition was possible because survival wasn't constantly threatened. Stability created room for dissatisfaction, not fulfillment. This period shaped expectations that felt permanent, but weren't. It was a historical exception, and it didn't apply equally to everyone. By the 1970s and 80s, manufacturing declined, and white-collar jobs expanded. College attendance rose, and careers became tied to identity. what do you do became shorthand for who are you. Sociologist Max Weber warned that capitalism wouldn't just organize labor, it would moralize it. He described work becoming a duty, not just to society, but to self. Once work becomes moral, not loving it feels like a personal failure. Dissatisfaction becomes guilt. The internet accelerated this shift. Suddenly, everyone could become a creator, an entrepreneur, a brand. Do what you love became a business model. But when passion becomes income, it becomes commodified. Algorithms replace bosses. Metrics replace meaning. Cultural critic Maya Komitsu writes in her essay, In the Name of Love, the rhetoric of doing what you love hides the reality that most people work not for love, but because they have to. She also goes on to say, when work is framed as love, it becomes very difficult to demand fair pay or human conditions. This is because love removes leverage. If we look at passion-based industries such as teaching, healthcare, nonprofit work, or even creative labor, these fields demand emotional attachment, and they use it against workers. Burnout becomes expected. Anthropologist David Graeber once wrote, "The ultimate hidden truth of the world is that it is something we make, and could just as easily make differently." Burnout isn't inevitable, it's structural. Do what you love survives because it simplifies complexity. It reframes systemic problems as personal choices. As one Atlantic article put it, when work is framed as a calling, exploitation becomes a virtue. The myth isn't motivational, it's convenient. So, instead of asking, what do I love? A better question is, what supports my life? What gives me stability? What allows me to love things outside of work? Work does not need to fulfill you to be worthy, and passion does not need to pay you to matter. Do what you love isn't ancient wisdom. It's a modern myth born from a brief moment of abundance and sold as universal truth. Once you can see that, you can stop blaming yourself for not feeling fulfilled by a system that was never designed to love you back.